Before we dive in, a quick thank you to the amazing people who sponsor this channel. You make videos like this possible. If you'd like to support the content and help keep these deep dive breakdowns coming, consider becoming a channel supporter. Mike Austin's 515-yard drive is one of the most unbelievable stories in golf, but did it actually happen? Today we're breaking down the swing, the conditions, the equipment, some eyewitness accounts. We'll also look at the numbers, like what type of ball speed, launch, and conditions would actually be required to hit a ball that far. And when we compare it to a modern long drive beast like Kyle Berkshire, it raises the real question. Are we really saying that this swing went further than that one? Today, we find out. The first thing we need to do is get the information of the shot that took place, and it's the legendary 515-yard drive by Mike Austin. It was September 25th, 1974 at the U.S. National Seniors Open Championship. The location was Winterwood Golf Course, which is now known as the Desert Rose Golf Course. It was on the par 4th 15th hole, which officially measured at 465 yards. Now keep in mind, the eyewitnesses said that this golf ball flew the green, so it had to fly further than 465, and it eventually rolled out to 515. One of his playing partners he was paired with was former PGA champion Chandler Harper, and Harper witnessed the drive and later described it as the damnedest thing he ever saw. The equipment he used was a 43.5 steel shafted Persimmon wood driver, which I may add has a significantly lower COR, and the COR stands for coefficient of restitution, which is basically measuring how efficiently the energy is transferred from the club face to the golf ball. Nowadays we're looking at 0.83. With Mike's equipment it was at 0.78. It might not sound like much, but yes, it will play a big part when we do our calculations. And the golf ball, he was using a 100 compression Titleist balata golf ball. Now the course conditions, there was a tailwind about 20 to 25 miles an hour. The elevation, Vegas does sit about 2,000 feet above sea level, which can contribute to longer ball flights due to thinner air, so we'll put that in our calculation. And the fairway conditions were firm. Now keep in mind, the eyewitnesses did describe this flying over the green, but it could have just been misunderstood for a big bounce short and then bounced over the green. Who knows, but we'll put that in our calculations as well. Now specific details about the exact time and day and atmospheric condition, such as temperature and air pressure at the moment of the drive, are not well documented. However, considering the location and typical weather patterns in Las Vegas during late September, it's reasonable to think the warm temperatures and relatively low humidity would also assist in achieving this longer drive. So we're going to put all that in together. Let's break down through a chart of what we can expect to occur using that equipment, and we'll compare it to Berkshire's and just take a look and see what we can find out. So let's break it down using the following. We're going to have a launch angle of 13 to 15 degrees, and because it's a balata, they do spin higher, so our spin rate's going to be 25 to 3200 RPMs, and that wind is going to give us a 5 to 8% carry distance. The elevation, we're going to add 6 to 10% carry boost, and we're going to combine the boost and elevation for a whopping 15 to 18% turbo kick. So in essence, we're looking at a 450-yard carry in Vegas would equal 380 to 390 yards at sea level with no wind. So let's break that down even further. In order to carry the ball 450 yards with a 20-mile tailwind and elevation, he would likely have needed to achieve a ball speed between 215 and 220. The launch angle was 13 to 15, and again, that lower spin rate of 28 to 3200 to get the optimal spin and launch conditions. Now, smash and clubhead speed with a Persimmon driver and balata ball, you're looking at around 1.4. Currently, it's 1.5. So with that set in mind, the ball speed would need to be 215, so your clubhead speed would need to be roughly 153 to 157 miles per hour. So we're going to put up a graph now of Mike Austin and Kyle Berkshire, who is the beast of long drive competition. So we see their club hit speed is nearly identical between that 150-160 range. The ball speed, modern golf balls, high COR will give Berkshire a bigger edge. The smash factor will give Berkshire a bigger edge. And at that club head speed, lower launch can actually increase your distance. Spin rate is obviously more because of the balata. The driver length, we're looking at Berkshire, who has a club that is 4.5 inches longer. And the materials of the driver head, modern heads are larger and hotter. So the COR is is definitely capped higher. And there's a big difference in the energy transfer of the ball type. So that carry number, look at that carry number. Both can carry it long, but Austin's was with the old tech. So are we saying that Austin hit it 30 to 50 yards further with older tech than Berkshire? And the total carry distance, Berkshire does match or sometimes exceeds in at total distance. So we're looking at Austin's swing, and we're going to break down this cause and effect and see, is it possible to swing this club at over 150 miles an hour? Now keep in mind, this is a fairway wood, and we've got an iron that we'll show you a little bit later as well, just to see the body movements, and we can get a pretty good idea if this is possible. So let's start with our lines. We got Barney Purple lower upper plane line, we've got Gumby Green go right through the spine, and then also Mellow Yellow for the back brace line to see posture loss. But we can see already that this is a closer stance. We're taller, our hands are set higher, so they're not as low as some modern day players, and we're going to go from the arches of the heel strip to the sky, and we can see that this is slightly toe based, and toe based players typically have higher hands that move up and down. And if that's the case, we do need some rerouting to make sure we swing up, and we might not see much of that move with the fairway wood, but what we're looking for is connection, is leg drive, is rotation, and using it, sequencing correctly to help increase that speed. So if we take a look, we see the hands do veer very low. We don't see a lot of body turn at all. We see those hips are staying pretty steady. We see the shoulders are trying to turn. They are losing some tilt, but the hands going low and rolling open. So this is normal to accentuate some rotation, but let's see if we do get that rotation as we go to the top of the swing. Now we're connected to that lower plane line. We do see the body turning, and we see him getting to that secondary plane line. Now keep in mind that this video was taken in the 70s, so it was the same time frame, and I believe Mike was in his 60s when he hit it that far, which I'll just leave it at that. We go to the top of the swing here, we can see there's the arms getting much taller just because it's that toe-based style, and we do see the club is definitely steeper at that point. It's not as deep as we would like to see for longer drives, but let's just take a look at the rerouting pattern. So we're going to draw our patented Ivan Red triangle check, and this is going to be a pretty steep triangle check, so we're going to look for these arms to go straight down to reconnect to that lower plane line. Ideally, we want to get down there soon enough, specifically if you want to launch this golf ball. So we take a look, and we won't have many frames to work with, but we see that we go right down to here. So let's redraw that triangle check here and kind of trace where the hands went, so we don't see them moving down to connect with the body. We see a fairly steep motion, but again, this is a fairway wood, but we're looking for that connection and the rotation. As we get down into the impact on our next frame, do we see a lot of rotation going through? We don't necessarily see rotation, we see tilting. So the left hip bumps towards the target, right shoulder drops back significantly. Now this might have helped him get the launch angle to increase, that slight tilting back right at this last second, and we see the exit path right in between the two, so there's not a lot of hand manipulation. We do see the lower body kicking over. However, do we see it going over sooner? We don't necessarily see that lower body driving up and into the body. Typically when you see these long drive champions, what we're going to do is that lower back brace line, we see the further they hit it, the more they move into that back brace line to create some severe spacing, so their shoulders can tilt more freer and keep their hands more connected, and that's where they get that high upward launch angle, because they're tilting back and leaning in this manner to launch that golf ball. I don't see much evidence of this, but again, it's a fairway wood. I couldn't find a driver swing, and this is unusual because with somebody that has a 515-yard record to not be able to find a driver swing. So if anybody does have a driver swing, send it to me, because I'm really interested to seeing that. But let's take a look as we go through the follow through. We do see now the whole body's facing the target. The moment of impact, though, I don't see a lot of rotation. Now, he could have just been a very strong man, but I know that his height was 5'8", I believe, so it's not like he's Popeye out there, and it's not like he's Goliath swinging the golf club, but you never know. He could have just had a freak hand speed, but we can tell some evidence of that club face is rolling close at this point, so I don't see a lot of hand manipulation. So there is some body motion. Do I think this is a 515-yard driver swing if we had a driver in his hand? Okay, now we're going to look at the face on. Again, we don't have a driver, but what we're looking for is evidence of connection, turning, tilting. So hands are out in front of the chest. We do have that slight forward press, and we should be closing that forward press ever so slightly. So let's see if we do close it. We're going to draw this in blue right at that center. So ideally, you want to close it at that point. If you don't close it, you fall back. So he would either go towards that blue line or fall back and increase his tilt. That's the only two options he has. So let's take a look and see the motion. So we don't see a lot of turn with the hips. That could be put in your position to get your X factor to stretch out. So we're taking a quick look with our green lines. We see not that much. We see almost 90 degrees. We do see a nice connected position here though. So the arms don't roll back. They are still out in front of the chest, which is a positive. We see a slight lateral slide. So do we see that lateral slide kick back over? Let's take a look at this first move. We're going to draw the impact line right here to see what impacts that line first. So we get the knees and the hips to hit that impact line, which is good. We have a great conservation of angular momentum so far. We are moving over to that left side with the lower body, upper body staying back as we strike that golf ball. So he does increase his tilt. So he moves his spine angle. So we see the increase of spine angle ahead of the golf ball in our blue line. And this is good because that shows that there's proper sequencing. And as a result, look at those hands. They're going to catch up to the tilting to strike down on the golf ball. Now you notice that his center did not shift over. Remember that second option in the start of the swing? He increases his tilt and falls back. So he's carrying over the angles correctly for a better player. So that's evidence that he can actually move the body pretty good. As he strikes the golf ball, we see those hands. We go from one frame to this frame, so there's not much to work with, but we do see a great connection here, which is pretty impressive. So this is key. So there's definitely a lot of connection here in this golf swing. So looking at it from this view can really open my eyes at least to say, okay, here's somebody that has great sequencing, has correct tilting, has great connection, and uses his body as efficiently as possible. And now just for reference, let's take a look at Berkshire. We're going to draw where that golf ball is and notice how it is matching his tilting. So that's the key thing with these guys. Now, I don't want you to try this at home because the more you move that golf ball out over your lead foot, now your path is going to be left. So that's going to cause a power fade or a slice or pull and having cans pull. So you don't want to do that because they can make up for this differently than you or I can. But the big thing with this one is just look at how wide this is. We get a lot of rotation. We get that width. Look how far back his club goes. But again, remember that T that you need to form. So there's the shoulder turn and there is the T. So he does not go past parallel to him. He might go past parallel to our view at the ground, but in terms of his rotation, he just gets to parallel. Great thing here that helps him is that flying right elbow to get that fourth lever. Fourth, you can get it in there, and the amount of timing it takes is pretty impressive. You see the club face is slightly closed to his left forearm, but this is all work out for him because take a look at this motion. So here's his impact line. And as we drive down, we don't see the whole body swaying over to that impact line like we saw Austin. But the reason is because of that accentuated spine tilt. At the start of the swing, he is still matching where that golf ball is. So he will not go left of that golf ball. He needs to stay behind that golf ball to make sure he swings up. And as we strike the golf ball, we see now, look at that impact. So we carry a forward press correctly, ladies and gentlemen. So this is how you carry forward presses correctly. It is connected to your tilt. The hands and chest are in front of each other, but he fell back. Look at this here. So notice where he started and where he finished. So this is how you carry correctly if you want to swing up. So bingo, look at that motion. Look at this full extension. And this is what was missing in Mike's swing. And this is ground force. This is keeping things out in front. And look at this. Look how connected those hands are to the center of the chest, even way past to here. That is incredible. And this is easily proof that you can hit this golf ball over 500, which we know for a fact. But did Mike hit it over 500, 460 carry? I'll break it down. So what makes Mike's drive plausible? Well, he was ahead of his time physically and biomechanically. Austin's 153 to 150 swing speed is within reason for an elite athlete, even today. He had a very modern motion. There is evidence of an upward angle of attack. There is some deep hip rotation, specifically right at impact, and there is definitely evidence of lag. This would help produce an ideal launch with what he had. He had the elevation and the tailwind, which gave him that 15 to 18% turbo carry boost. So that basically turns a 385 yard into 450 pretty easily. There was firm fairways. Now, even though the eyewitnesses says they flew the green, that might be debatable. It could have rolled before the green and just rolled right through, giving as much as 65 yards a roll. But now, what makes the drive unbelievable at first glance? Well, we look at the gear limitations. We have Persimmon headed driver, balata ball, which couldn't maximize the COR or the reduction of spin, so it's hard to generate 215 mile an hour ball speed with a low smash factor, but it's not impossible. We don't have verification, there's no shot link, there's no TrackMan or video, it's just a historical event, though not a myth. It lacks scientific documentation. Even Kyle Berkshire, with better tech and training, only rarely hits 500 plus yard drives, albeit under controlled event setups. So what are the odds? The club head speed at 150 mile an hour, we're going to say that's average to high odds that it would occur. Launch and spin rate, we're going to give that moderate to high odds. 20 mile an hour tailwind, it's very likely, and it's historically reported, so that is true. 450 yard carry, it's possible under those conditions. 65 yard roll on baked fairways, which is very likely. Now it all comes down to where the ball lands. Again, some said it flew over the green. I'm thinking it flew well short of the green. So you're going to lump all that stuff in. I'm going to give this an estimated odd of low, but not impossible. It's a perfect example of elite biomechanics, freak athleticism, ideal launch and spin, high altitude, downward conditions, and fast ground turf. My final verdict is yes, I think it's possible. Rare? Extremely rare, but not a tall tale. Mike Austin's swing, his gear, and environment aligned perfectly that day. This isn't Bigfoot, it's physics. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Did this happen? Did it not happen? Were you one of the witnesses? Either way, I appreciate your support. I'll see you next time. Fairways Greens.